Now for global business updates, Rotus Oddiri, preparing to go on leave, joins us.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. Good morning, Vivai. Good morning, Rufai.
The final countdown.
Hey, it's here. The day, Friday is here. But I'm still covering an event on Sunday, but still, technically...
So when are you traveling?
I'm not releasing that on national television. Let's begin with U.S. Producer Price Index came in hotter than expected. This is what I was expecting with CPI, but we're starting to see the tariff impact. Now again, Producer Price Index is for producers, their input costs. So at the wholesale level, inflation is rising, and also we're seeing some cost pressures on supply chains for businesses in the US. July, 0.9%. The estimate was 0.2. This is the highest level in 3 years, 0.9. On a year-on-year basis, it was 2.4%, highest level that we've seen, I think, since February of this year. Core, ex-food energy, 3.7. This now has upended all talk of a 50 basis point rate hike with the Federal Reserve. Speaking of the Federal Reserve, what are the data points that we're expecting, or the next set of data we're expecting before the September 17th FOMC decision? We're going to get, in fact, next week, Jackson Hole, Powell will be speaking next week, Wednesday, so folks will be looking forward to that. But you got PCE, the Federal Reserve's preferred measure of inflation. Dr. Abati talks about this a lot. Personal consumption expenditure, August 29th. September 5th, we get the August jobs report. Everybody wants to see, if there will be more revisions. Then September 11th, we get August CPI, that's Consumer Price Index. And then September 17th is the FOMC. So there's more twists and turns to this story before we get to that next decision. To Nigeria, we're still trying to slay that last dragon of the three-headed dragon. So fuel subsidy exchange rate is still electricity. The government is planning to refinance the 4 trillion debts, which is mostly owed to the GENCOs. That's about $2.6 billion. Minister of Finance and Economic Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, said that in the next 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to, possibly securitization. And he says the Debt Management Office is going to oversee it. So we're going to possibly borrow to pay this debt off. We're also issuing bonds to pay for pensions. There's legitimate worries over the debt. However, if you look at Nigeria's Euro bonds up until July, they're actually at a 3-year low because of a sustained investor interest. So you can see the chart to the left and also comparing Nigeria at 8.6 to, Cote d'Ivoire is low at 5.9, but you see Egypt at 9.8, Kenya at 8.3. So at least on the Euro bond side, in terms of foreign debt, it's coming down based on what we're seeing with the chart, but still, there are legitimate concerns over debt going forward. You've already gone over Dr. Nkosi Okonjo-Iweala's comments about stabilizing the economy and the need to grow jobs. I'm going to round off with what I have argued is a business story, which is Ibom Air and the Comfort Emmanson story.
Gosh.
It's a business story, it's an aviation story, it's a customer service story. Now it's a tourism and job story, because you heard Dr. Okonjo-Iweala say we need to grow jobs. Now, first of all, we've been on Google Trends for a while. It's very in-depth. And if you take a look at the search parameters going from, I think, the last 72 or 96 hours, there's been a sustained gap between Comfort in red and Ibom Air in blue. Now, if the gallery can help me out, you can even go by sub-region. This is what I even like about this text. So if you look at them, they're hovering to the left now. Perfect. You're going to see Adamawa. She's in red. 100% search for her by herself versus 0 for Ibom Air as an incident.
Is it her or the video they're searching?
No, so the search parameters are, I used Ibom Air incident in blue, Comfort Emmanson as an individual in red. So as her recognition grows, more people are searching for her individually versus
and
the incident itself.
And the pictures on her page.
So Google Search Trends is basically using all aspects. Yes, now use search now. So if you go to the left, down there to Delta State, 72%, 84% to 10. I'm showing you the search. This is technology. Finally, her latest offers that she's received. Again, I told you this is a job story. Wait now, public sector and private sector. Can I finish my analysis? This is my job. So there is this a job offer from Delta State. Yes, now we have this is the analysis. Free trip to Delta State, all expenses paid, plus a 500,000 naira monthly job. You've also got a free trip to Doha and also to Istanbul. However, the tourism side of this is that Delta State cannot stand next to a Doha or Istanbul in terms of tourism. So this is the reason why I have this report in my hand, this new report on Delta State, which talks about whether Delta State is a new millionaire destination. And I think we've got one of the estimates here for Delta State in terms of its land and water resources. No, we can move on from this here. In terms of its land and water resources and the economic potential, right? So there it is. So 2.4 trillion. These are the things that Comfort has to look at if she's going to move to Delta State in order to get a job, right? That's one thing. But also, there is the fact that when you look at the capital importation, employment. Can we go to the unemployment numbers, right? So this is a serious analysis, it's not a joke here. Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Mati, why are you laughing? You look at discouraged job seekers by sex and urban rural. Comfort falls into the 4.4% as a share of the total labor force, of where you have 4.4% of share of the labor force of women who are discouraged to look for work. So while Doha and Istanbul might be better destinations in terms of tourism, Delta State has that extra incentive of a 500,000 naira job. So she has to think about that in terms of whether to go there versus the other two. And then finally, capital importation. As much as Delta State has a lot of potential, Delta State was not in the top 5 states that got capital importation in Q1. So Abuja was tops, Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Kaduna. So Delta State has work to do. So this is the economics of the offer. So that's all I got.
In the spirit of comfort, if you are talking about 500,000 a month,
I know you say today versus now. So you should go to Doha
and
or
Doha
Qatar.
Is more viable. You see,
you vote for Doha.
All of you men that are looking at comfort picture to do all sorts, God will forgive you. God will forgive. So for a week,
the economics of the offer.
You can see a single man.
The economics of the offer. It's a business story, Rufai.
Looking at Google Trends for comfort all week.
I'm invested in this story. So it's a Google Trend.
I see the picture you put up there. It's fine. Moving on. Let's talk about
Trump, PPI.
Trump and PPI. I'm sure Trump started to see the
He didn't say one word though. Not one word on Truth Social.
He will say the results are rigged. Don't worry, we'll soon come out.
He's been quiet. When CPI came out, he was very excited.
I'm sure he's starting to see the result of what he's doing. See, he just reminds me of what we did in 2015.
Yeah.
When President Buhari took over. Because I keep calling that recession till date, do-it-yourself recession.
Right.
President Buhari took an economy. For 6 months, he didn't do anything. No ministers, nothing, no direction. We didn't know where we're going. And we slumped, and he blamed everybody for the problem. And he started taking heavy loans to defend the currency because there was no sense of direction. And we're where we are. That's what Trump is doing exactly. See, I'm sorry. I know the campaign, there was high inflation and everything and all of that. America wasn't broken. Biden did a decent job, COVID recovery. And we saw that. But because of your own selfish interest, you have just taken the country and taken it to the slaughter slab.
And we'll see the numbers coming up. It could get worse.
Uncertainty?
It could get worse. The inflation, consumer, the CPI numbers could actually get worse. Everybody's going to see.
So, of course, we're waiting for that shock moment.
Economy toy.
So that shock moment is coming. We don't know when it's going to come, right?
Well, the PPI is suggesting that it's...
So I'm going to get into that.
Yeah.
So on the consumer side, that shock is going to come. Maybe the only other side that people are looking at is that it's going to be a once-off shock, and then it's going to stabilize. So it's going to hit, and then things will stabilize at that level. However, the reason why many analysts are saying it's not reflecting yet on the consumer side is because a lot of businesses have front-loaded.
That's right.
So they tried to just get as much inventory into the country as they could before the tariffs took effect, which is why we're also seeing the increase on the producer side,
right.
Because they've now had to go and spend more than budgeted or more than expected
right.
to try and get as much stuff into the country before the deadline hit. So the question is, what is the window period going to be before we start seeing whatever that inventory is begin to trickle down, and be passed on to the consumer? And in that window, I think, is where we're wondering, what's the intervention, what's the plan? On Comfort, very quickly as I round up, I know you've looked at these numbers from the sense, that's the Google search numbers, from the aspect of, interest in her. But I think Rufai raises a valid point, which is, what are people searching for? Because if she's lawyered up and she's able to justify that this is the exposure, the indecent exposure, without consent, that she has been exposed to, she's about to come into plenty more than 500,000 naira per month, because she didn't ask for her body to be exposed like this to millions of people on the internet.
Indeed.
So, I hear she's lawyered up, so great that the statistics are available. The lawyers are going to say she didn't ask for this level of exposure to her privacy.
Indeed.
The producer price index It's the selling price which producers command. And we've been told that that has risen by 0.9%. In other words, that prices have gone up in the market. Now, when the CPI of the US came in at 2.7%, the original explanation was that, well, this being weaker than expected means prices are not likely to go up. However, a few days later, David Solomon, CEO of Goldman Sachs, said no, that is not true. Yep. Because when the effect of the tariffs come in, prices are going to go up in the long run. Yep. It was backed up by the economists at UBS and also the economists at JP Morgan Chase.
Correct.
And President Trump responded and said, David Solomon, who is also known as DJ Saul, is a DJ, should go and pay attention to his DJing work or recruit new economists. Yeah. Now he has been vindicated when the PPI came in, which now confirms that indeed, when you look at the combined figures this week, prices are likely to go up. Maybe that's why President Trump is silent. Now, if you look at the economies, UK 0.3% increase, right. But Japan, the economy is slowing down. No, the economy is doing well because increase in exports. Yeah. China is slowing down in terms of economy because of weak demand, and all the measures are not really working. As to the market dynamics of being Comfort Emmanson, which is perhaps the most important subject that you have brought this morning.
Facts.
Now, there is a gentleman in Doha or so who is inviting her to Doha, to Turkey. There is a gentleman in Delta State, I think that's your state.
That's my state, correct.
Who is standing up and saying he will give her a job, and she will also have opportunities, and she will even attend a seminar or a program, on how to be Comfort Emmanson. Indeed. I see that Comfort Emmanson has now created a market.
Facts.
And she's giving comfort virtually and visually and remotely to a lot of men. Now, the danger here.
Yes.
Because you talk about market here. I hope we have not unwittingly created a market for young ladies with very vital, appealing, visually engaging assets who to go to airlines and repeat the kind of behavior so that they may follow in the footsteps of Comfort Emmanson, who by default has become a national hero in terms of, a visual appeal.
Indeed.
Which is, but what I do not understand is why the gentlemen who are bachelors in this environment have not joined this Comfort Emmanson market. How long that market survives remains to be seen. You will be here to analyze it when you come back from
Yes, I will, Doctor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.